Well, we're out here today on a 36-degree day. Strange Maine winters lately. I was in a blizzard a short while ago, a nor'easter, and then a few days later, another nor'easter hit, but this time the Gulf of Maine warm water and air won out, and it came down as a tremendous amount of rain. And then it snowed a little bit again a few days later. So, strange winter indeed. This video is about some things that Ego did right and some things not necessarily that they did wrong, but they could improve upon. There is nothing wrong with this snowblower that I can see. So anything that I point out here is not a deal breaker. This blower runs really good, and the little odd things that I have found that I would like to be different really don't matter in the long run. This is their 28-inch blower. It's about the size of my 10-horse Aaron's Professional. And I will say that I'm very pleased with it so far. First of all, the performance of this blower is much better than I actually ever expected it to be. I had hopes, but I never expected it to be this good. Um, I did a video during a nor'easter that I will give a link to at the end of the video and also down below in the description if you should care to see it. The blower performed as good or probably better than my 10 horsepower Aaron's, even when it was newer. It handled really good, no problem throwing the snow. The batteries would have gone 2 hours if I had had that much snow. And running in its slowest mode, as far as throw distance, I was getting 16 feet. In the video that I did, it was by the numbers: area, performance, distances, battery life, timing. So, should you care to see it, it's a quantitative video, not just showing me throw some snow. Another thing I like about the snowblower, it's the quality of the build. Um, in a video I made, I had a guy comment and said, the first time a branch goes into this auger that's made of plastic, it's just going to tear it to shreds. Well, this auger isn't plastic; it's metal. The bell is metal. The chute is metal. The housing is metal. The only thing that's plastic is the battery box and the console up at the top of the handlebars and one panel on the back. The rest is steel. And not only that, but I mic'd these. And this metal is 7% thicker than my gas blower, my 10 horsepower gas blower. And I don't know if that's metal or metal in the enamel, because this has a thick enamel paint on it. So I'm thinking that rusting isn't going to be a huge issue. And yes, everything is steel, even for the guy who commented, the auger is steel and the impeller on the inside. Now, one thing that's both a plus and a minus, I guess you could call it, is that the bell of the blower where the auger is long. It's really long. The result is it's front heavy. It's really nose heavy, which is nice because it doesn't ride up on the snow, even in bankings at all. The negative part of that is that with metal shoes on a rough surface like the tar that I have here, it drags. And I could put it on the plastic side because there's two sides to the shoes, except that that wears out. When I unboxed this, I just drove it from where I was unboxing it about here down into the garage, and it made some serious scuff marks in the plastic shoes. So I turned them over to the metal side, and that was good. But when you get on tar or cement, there's a noticeable drag, particularly if you have a higher spot on one side, it'll actually pull. Not a huge deal. but definitely more noticeable than my errands, which um, I have to hold down sometimes so it doesn't ride up. I had a solution for it, which I also made a video for, and I'll put a link below. I made some wheels. I had a very old snowblower years ago that came with wheels. And the wheels that I've made for this one are ball bearing. They're very tough. I mounted them to the existing shoes, and I must say they are working really well. And it solves an inconvenience, not a big problem. For this next part, I'm bringing you down into the garage where my Aaron snowblower is. This has been a wonderful snowblower. And it has to do with forward and reverse. If I'm going forward, usually in second gear, and I want to go into reverse, let the handle up, switch back. I always go into the second one because it's slow enough in first, and then go reverse, lift up, and jump into second. It seems to flip where I want very, very easily. So this is sort of a convenient way of doing it. Here is the Ego console. We have low all the way to 4 speeds forward, and we have 3 reverse. Okay, no problem. You put this down. I usually put it in second. You push this down, you go forward, you lift it up, flip it back in reverse, and 1 and 2 are almost useless. 3 is just a slow walk backwards. So I always just go all the way back, go in reverse, lift this up, and then in order to get it going forward again, I've got to sort of get it just right because 3 is often too fast. 1 is a creep. So I got to get it right there in 2, and then you can go forward again. So forward, reverse, and then getting it just right to go forward again. Now, this isn't a huge problem, but it's annoying a little bit, that much. What could Ego do about this? To get the auger chute to start, you can't just pull this handle down. You have to unlock with this in order to push it down. It must be some kind of a safety feature, I don't know. So, push and down. What if you had that same thing over here? You would set this on 2 to go forward, no problem. But if you wanted to go backwards, you would squeeze a small trigger on the side and push it down. And it would automatically put you into 3rd gear reverse, which is just right. So forward, you're going forward, lift it up, squeeze the trigger, push it down, you're in reverse. So showing you on this one, if this were the drive one, forward, and then squeeze the trigger to go in reverse, lift it up, and push it down and go forward again. Another way of doing it would be to have 2 toggles like this. One so that you could put it in whatever speed you want forward, and another one so that you could put it in whatever speed you want in reverse if you didn't want to have it in third all the time, and have the trigger. So you could go forward, and then when you pull this trigger, the reverse one would kick in. And like I said, this works and it works well. It would just be so convenient if we could have it set for forward and reverse and just be able to choose one or the other with a switch on the handle. Another plus that this has that you can't do on a gas-powered blower. The gas-powered blower has mechanical linkages that go down, so the handlebars are in a fixed position. But with the Ego, we don't have that because everything is switches and digital. So they have holes in the handlebars that when it comes out of the box, you have to put this together, but you can move it up and down. I had mine down here and I realized it was a little low. So I brought it up here, and sure enough, this is what I'm used to. It's almost exactly the same height as my gas blower. But if I wanted to, I could put them up here. And I don't know why I'd want to, but if I was maybe 6'5", I might think that that would be a good thing to do. This next point is extremely minor, but I think it would be a good thing to do. The chute is electronic and it swings back and forth very fast. And I'm usually either on the right or way over on the left, and that's good. But when I need for it to be someplace in the middle, I've got to kind of find the right spot. And it takes a half a second. So I'm being picky, I know. What could be done about that? I think possibly two things. One is just slow the chute down a little bit. I mean, it moves really fast back and forth. It doesn't have to move that fast. You might move it and it would take a fraction of a second longer to move into position and therefore give you a chance to stop it at the right time. Also, something else that could be done instead or along with it is to put a little drag in the chute so that when it's going back and forth, it doesn't seem so loose. And that might help that too. Like I said, almost a non-issue. Just thought I'd throw it in. One thing Ego seemed to solve, because in their previous blowers, I've seen so many people complain that there was snow getting into the battery compartment. Here I have one of my small batteries for my lawnmower in here just to be able to wheel it around for this video. They would lift the thing up and you'd see the snow. And some people were saying it won't do any harm. Some people were saying you need to clean it out. In that blizzard I told you about, I was covered with snow from both blowing snow in a blizzard and the blowback from wind. And the snowblower was covered with snow for up to an hour. And when I opened the battery case, there was no snow inside. And I'm not sure how they solved it. The battery case seems to fit fairly tightly along the edge where the seam is. And they put a couple of rare earth magnets in here and in the cover. So when you push it down, it locks so it doesn't bounce while you're blowing snow at all. Another tiny negative, or something that could be improved, is that they have two 0-point turn handles here. So you pull this one in and the snowblower's wheel will stop on this side and it'll turn to the left. You pull this one in and it turns to the right. One thing I have noticed, and I don't think these are just switches. I think it's a cable that's pulling something on the inside. I'm not sure. But when it's under drive, now it doesn't do it. But when it's driving and you go to pull this, it isn't smooth. It kind of like, you have to like unlock it and then it comes up. And I don't know what does that. It doesn't bother me to have to do it, but whenever I do it, I feel as though that possibly a pin is being pulled out or a gear is being moved and it's not smooth. And I'm kind of like just not jamming it or unjamming it, but it just doesn't feel smooth when I do it. When you have that it holds back and then pops before it comes up. Here's something that I'm finding a real plus that I never expected to until I started using the blower. This blower has 16-inch wheels, which are big, but more importantly, they're 8 inches wide. They have a very deep tread to them, and they're square, they're flat on the side. My other tires on my snowblowers, they're kind of rounded, crowned. This is square to the sides, and the traction on this is amazing. On my Aaron snowblower, I actually put chains on it over time because it was slipping, particularly as we started to get more wetter snow and ice here in Maine with the climate change. But these tires really grip good. They're pneumatic, and I didn't expect that to happen until I started using it, and I realized there was no slipping at all on the snow that I had, whereas usually there is. Even when you hit a snowbank and the tires will kind of slip as it tries to push into it, these don't do that. As a matter of fact, you've got to be careful because this thing will keep pushing forward even if you have a lot of snow that's going to be hard to remove. Nice feature. Okay, this is one thing that I'm pretty much worried about. and that is the impeller on the inside. I've seen people where they get a rock stuck between the impeller and the round housing that it's spinning into, and it damages the gearing or motor that's located in the back over here. With the gas blowers, things will slip, belts will slip, and so forth. But with this one, it's connected directly to a gearbox and directly to the electric motor. And I wish Ego would do one of a few things. Either put some kind of a clutch mechanism in here so that if there is enough strain put on it and the impeller won't turn, the clutch will slip. Another thing they could do is they could put some kind of overload protector so that if there's a sensor in there that detects that the impeller is jammed and not going to turn, it would immediately cut the power before something gets broken. At the least, if another shear pin could be put in the blower, not on the auger, but where the impeller is, it would be a little tricky to get in there to take it out and put it in, but not completely impossible. But the option of doing that as opposed to a warranty repair that could take a long time or having to do it yourself and the cost afterwards, I think would really be worth it. And I've seen enough of these happen on people who are on YouTube or on Facebook pages that it would be something I think that Ego would make a priority. Another thing that I would like to see Ego do, and I don't know how they would do this, this would be a matter for the engineers and the accountants. These batteries, and not this one, but the two 12-amp batteries that come with this blower, cost $500 each. They do have a 5-year warranty, and that is good. They're capable of lasting 10 years. I'm thinking maybe 8 if things go well. But when someone buys a blower like this and they come to the realization that in maybe 8 years, sometimes after 5 anyway, they've got to spend $1,000 to keep this snowblower running, it's a big turnoff. I did it because I can do it if I want to, and I just wanted to do this. So I have this blow, but I can see for some people who don't have a whole lot of expendable cash and are worried about having to spend $1,000 after a few years, this can be an issue. So what can Ego do about it? And I'm not sure, but I have an idea. Now, most of the other batteries have a 3-year warranty on them. This one, these 12 amps happen to have a 5-year warranty. But if you've ever purchased tires, you know they come with a mileage rating. Let's say you get a good tire and it comes with a 60,000 mile rating. If your tire should wear prematurely or be damaged by something that's not your fault, it just goes bad, but it's also for tread wear, you can trade it in and get a prorated mileage cost. So if you have a 60,000 mile tire and after 30,000 miles, it just seems to have worn out, and you haven't been driving crazy with it, and it's not showing unusual tread wear because you forgot to balance them or something. Supposedly, and I've never done this because my tires always last more than the warranty rating, they will prorate it and give you money back for the tire that you hadn't used that you could have. And I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but I take it to understand that if you have a 60,000 mile tire, you only get 30,000 miles on it, and it costs you $100, you might get $50 towards that tire. So you only get charged for what you use. So you could probably see where I'm going with that, with the battery. And I don't know how they would do it, if they give a shorter warranty and then prorate it for a certain number of years, or keep the warranty they have and then prorate it for a certain number of years after that. So let's say you had a $500 battery, which is what one of the 12 amp batteries costs, and it dies on you. And it's shown that it just stopped working. I mean, Eagle will go through some tests with you to see what's up, and it stops working um, after the warranty period is up. Or what they might do is give you credit for the amount of time that you had left on the battery. And I don't know exactly how they would do that. If you had a 3-year warranty and after 5 years it stopped working, Eagle might say, well, this battery should have worked 8 years, so we'll give you 20 or 30% credit towards it. So on my $500 battery, if I knew that it died prematurely, let's say halfway through its expected lifespan, instead of spending $500 for the battery, it would cost me $250 to replace it. For me, that would be more reasonable. And Ego would kind of make out in a way because, I mean, if it died a year before, then you'd have to pay for most of the battery. You'd get a small prorating on it. Ego, I hope you're listening, because this is a major sort of holdback if anybody is not buying your equipment. It's the question mark of the batteries. And some of them do go bad. Some people have years and years without a problem, and some people, right after the warranty, it dies on them. So this would be something that I think would benefit, because you would sell much more equipment, because you would have those fence sitters thinking they're not taking as much of a chance in going with what I consider this wonderful product. I knew that I wanted to make this video because in my head, I realized there were some issues with it, and I either realized there were some really good things with it, or after I used it, I realized there were really some good things about this. And I'm not going to go over all the other possible benefits of this snowblower. You can see videos that other people have done. You can see a few that I've done. And I will tell you that this snowblower is impressive. If something breaks on this, or the batteries die premature or something, I'll be back to tell you. I'll just be back. Okay. Nothing is given to me here. I've had to buy everything on my own. And like I said in my previous videos, for me, I justify getting this in that it's a science experiment, hoping it works out. But if it doesn't, you back up and punt. Thanks for watching.